In the 80s, there was a show called the ANZACs. At the end of the miniseries, they had a scene which talks about mental illness. That's what I'm going to talk about today on STP.
Welcome to Shattered the Podcast.
Sharing the lived experience of mental illness on
A father,
a mother.
A family.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go!
Let's go.
Okay, 11 for the 11th of the 11th. Today we're going to talk about a show called ANZACs. Now, this is not necessarily a movie. It's a mini-series. It's from the 80s. Parts of it have not dated well. It can feel at times a little bit like a soap opera. Admittedly, it was made by a team that ostensibly made soaps back in the day. And at times the music and the way they go about things is a little bit jarring. But the scene that I want to talk about is at the end of the miniseries, right at the end. Throughout the first 3/4 of the film, the men are served by a gallant and brave officer. He takes them through Gallipoli, takes them to the Western Front. But then the actor shows it really well, the fact that this guy is struggling with how many men he's losing, how many of his friends. And he's holding it together because he's known these men for years and he doesn't want to fail them. He doesn't want to let them down. He has to leave the front. He says goodbye to the men. You can see his shame. The actor does a really great job. You can see him just being devastated and ashamed. He can't face his men. He can't look them in the face because he's leaving them. Now, none of the men judge him. In fact, it's quite lovely how the men are very supportive of him. They understand. They've been through it, through the hell of World War One. I think many of them were amazed that anybody made it through. So when one of them did fall, especially this gallant and brave officer, he did fall through what they called at the time shell shock. Hard to believe that they used to shoot guys that got shell shock because they just did not understand the trauma that they were putting the men through. Now, at the end of the miniseries, it's one of the few films that I've seen that does this, where they go to the opening of a memorial. And our main character throughout the whole thing has died pretty much in the last gasp of the war. The Allies are winning. It's not like on the 11th of the 11th or anything, but it's, it's implied that the war is winding down. And it was at that time. And our main character gets killed. Makes a silly mistake, a mistake he would never have made beforehand, and gets killed. So everybody's at this guy's like farm or something, or his town, something like that. They don't really explain that. But all the guys from the platoon that have survived are there. They show up to the pub and they're all excited to see friends whole, friends that can't see, an officer that was blinded by gas, who, in the film it makes out that he's done a lot of things. He's building a braille library for people that are blind. He's living a full life, but his parents still think that he's pathetic and hopeless. He's wounded. He's crippled. And the men are just so excited to see him. And the parents are a little bit dismayed by how much regard he is held in by these troops. But then one of them glances across and there's an older gentleman sitting in the corner. His shoulders are hunched. He's withdrawn. He's got his hat over his head. He clearly does not want to be seen. But one of his soldiers sees him. He is broken by the war. He lives with shame and disgrace. And he can't understand why his men would be happy to see him. What I love about this scene, and the actor does it very, very well, is the guy with PTSD wants, with all his heart, to be with his mates. But he's so desperately ashamed that he left them. He feels like he let them down. That even though they're so joyful in seeing him, and they're so welcoming, you can see that he's excited that they still love him. But at the same time, his mental illness is there. It's making it so hard for him to be around this joyful celebration. No soldier should ever feel ashamed that the chemicals in their head changed, which is what PTSD is. It's an injury. No soldier should be ashamed of that. The show is ANZACs. Just for this scene, it's so worth it. Because you see the inner turmoil of the soldier. He desperately wants to be there, but he's so filled with fear, anxiety, shame, that it makes it difficult to even look at his old mates. It's powerful stuff. It's powerful stuff. As I said, this week we are not glorifying war. We're just looking at the effects that it has on people, and hopefully promotes discussion amongst veterans about PTSD. Alrighty, we'll be back again tomorrow with another film. Don't forget, you can let me know. We're doing this every day, so let me know if there's a film you want me to have a look at or a review. More than likely, I've seen it. But anyways, I'll talk to you again tomorrow. Bye for now. Thank you for listening to Shattered the podcast. I'd like to thank our producer, Meredith Brosnan, our executive producer, Torian Lau, and the band Adelaide for allowing us to use their song as our theme. Go to shatteredthepodcast.com for more information.